guys, it's the Emshow on ELEGBETE TV and ELEGBETE TV Radio. I have with me two amazing personalities. If you recall, the whole of last season in the Surulere League, we were all up on it. We covered it. Courtesy on the field reporter Emmanuel Sebastian, who's now working with Nigeria footballers, and we did a great job on it. And in the Surulere League is about to start again, but like they say, use the catapult effect. You go back to go forward. With me, I have the winner of the Surulere League last season and the team manager. That team is Goshen FC, wonderful team that trains somewhere at Surah. I've been there before, and I'm wrapping it in my head how a team that trains in that small sandy pitch could go out there and defeat teams inside the main bowl of the National Stadium, Surulere, and the practice pitch. Well, I have the coach and the team manager of Goshen FC to explain with me. And Coach Abbey, who's the coach of Goshen FC, also doubles as my coach at Fem FC Football Club at Alasia here, where we train every Saturday. If you really want to have fun as an all-star player, you want to jollificate, you want to enjoy life, and you also want to network, I think you need to come to Fem FC and see what we're doing with that team. Now, having said that, Coach Abbey and Ade Damola, the team manager, you're welcome to the show. Let me start with you, TM. How did you get to be the team manager of Goshen?
We give grace to God, basically, and it's something that we started going to about 14 years now. I initially was a member of the team as a player with the coach as well. And gradually, then we could say there was not a really cohesive kind of a team. So after my own playing careers in Europe and all over the world where I went to play and I came back, so he now suggested to me that why can't we just form a team and try to help the young ones, the new ones, the less privileged ones, especially.
No. Footballers are not less privileged.
Well, if you put it that way, but I would just say those ones that are unfortunate to get the exposure. So I will put it that way. So to correct myself on that.
Okay, you said something about traveling, playing in Europe, and okay, you were a footballer. What wing were you playing then?
Sorry?
What wing, what position?
Oh, I'm a midfielder. I'm an attacking midfielder.
Okay, so how far and wide did you go?
Initially, I was in America. I was in MLS, and then from there in 2003, then I left for Germany. I was in Hoffenheim. Then from there I went to Hanover. Then I now went back to England, where I played for the lower leagues, Colchester and Oxford United.
Okay, so with such broad base experience from the MLS to the German Bundesliga, the English lower league, I can call you a thoroughbred football person because you've seen it all at that level. So how do you go about scouting players? What are the criteria you look at for when you're picking players for Goshen FC?
All right. Basically, what he does, because I'm not based there, so he's the one that's actually based there, so he sees most of the players. So although I do get recommendations from other people from Europe as well, telling me about one players or the other. So what I usually do is I'll just ask them to go to my main team, which is Goshen FC. So where he will give the final judgment on them if they are good enough for them to go full-time professional, especially to come to Europe. So basically, with the knowledge I've had over time, so whenever he made that decision, I will always now come over and look at the players, and if they are marketable, if they are good enough to go to Europe on our own terms, then we put the contract to them.
Okay, let me come to you, Coach. Coach Abbey, you are the coach of Goshen FC, you're also the coach of Fem FC. Fem FC is an all-star team, which I'm part of. I don't play because I have a knee injury. How has it been? You know, one of the biggest problems we talk about in Nigeria is that our coaches are not good enough. That the coaches, collect bribe at national level. The coaches, don't pick the right players based on merit. So looking at your team is a championship winning team. So we could jolly well see that you're different. have you been able to mold a team, craft a team together like Goshen FC?
Oh well, it's a huge job to start with because as a coach you have to discover players and you need to fine tune them, and which is not it's not an a day job.
Yeah.
You know, it has to do with what you know, your understanding about the game, how well do you understand the game, or how exposed are you as a coach, or how technically gifted are you as a coach, and you have to be disciplined as well.
Okay, coach. Let's rewind a little bit. What a lot of people watching will fail to understand is that you were also a former professional player. You played in the Nigerian league. Can we get to know that part of the story? What clubs you played for? How was the experience like?
Yeah, I'm an ex-player of Quora Bombers, Stationery Stores, Nigeria Port Authority. I have a brief stint in Cotonou with FC Dragon and FC Reckon. Then briefly with the African Sport in Ivory Coast.
Okay, so with all these experience as a player, you decided to go into coaching. Did you get a formal coaching education, like going to NIS, or you just felt like, I spent these long years, I understand the game? Because I always see, in my opinion, that those who play the game, if they have the passion for coaching, they have a tiny little bit of advantage over those who not play the game. I don't know if, team manager, you agree with me on that. Coach, was that the case for you?
Yeah, I started initially like that before I went for my coaching course at the NIS.
So, what are the...
Can I put into that basically?
Okay.
What I can say about that is that sometimes it doesn't correlate that way, that somebody has to play the game.
I agree.
Yeah, and in a big stage for that person to be entitled to be able to like judge players or coach players. I mean, we've seen a lot of international coaches and club coaches these days that are actually into that. But it's much more essential if you've got a bit of know-how of the game to a certain level professionally, and that helps when you are actually making your selection in your own team or coaching your own team.
Okay, so coach, let me come to you. Your team basically train grassroots players, sell a few players abroad, get the returns, revamp into the team again. How many players in the last 5 or so years have you guys been able to ship out from Nigeria abroad?
Yes, we can talk about 3 or 4. Yeah.
Have you also had players that have gone to play in the national teams?
No, not yet.
Okay, so last season, I'm very particular about the Surulere League. Last season, the pick of the pack was DRV, G12, even though they have younger players, and then box to box. And I don't know where you came in from, you played the normal league and then the Super 6.
Yeah.
In the normal league, you were not on top. You were second, right?
Yeah.
And then you went to the Super 6, you were unstoppable. What was the strategy?
Well, we give God the glory. And there is what I always tell my players is that we take every game as it comes. We don't try to pile up pressure on ourselves. We take it one game after the other. And as Goshen Stars that we are, we hardly lost our games. So I try to prepare their mindset towards the top 6, that let's just remain within the qualifying zone. Then when we get to the playoff zone, then we'll know how to do that, which,
So by that we can see that, coach, what you did was to make sure your players, it's like the NBA style, don't get burned out.
Yeah.
Just stay in the qualification.
Yeah.
The real competition is the playoff. So when we get to the playoff, we show everybody what we're made of. While everybody is killing themselves, burning themselves out to top the regular season, you're saying to your players, guys, put your eye on the prize. The goal is the Super 6. Qualify there and then win it. But then this season, it has changed. The organizers have changed the league. It's now a 20-team. Last season was 17. Now it's a 20-team league for Division 1, and then there's Division 2. And then the winner this season will qualify for the NLO. What is preparation like?
Well, as usual, we are trying to do our best, and hopefully we believe our best will make the difference. Our preparation is in top gear.
In 2 weeks' time, less than 2 weeks' time, you start defending your trophy. Have you lost any player from your team going into the new season?
Yeah, we had one that just left for Russia. Then we had one that is injured. He broke his leg, the guy I was telling you the other day. Then some other two have left for some other clubs, but we have replacement for them.
Okay, so can you beat your chest and tell the other team, whether it's DROV, whether it's G12, whether it's box to balls, Hotspur, Dominion Hotspur, whoever they are, that you're coming back to win the league this season? Is that a guarantee?
We believe our best will still make the difference. Definitely.
So, TM, Adedamola, right?
Yes.
When you're in Europe, your major job is to look out for openings for your players. How easy has that been?
Well, if you can recall, I said earlier on that we've been on it for 14 years.
Yeah.
So that should tell you that definitely within those period, within that 14 years, is all trying to get the qualifications, the know-how, the the secrets, the talking to the network, exactly, talking to the managers, talking to the clubs, the contacts, the connections, everything, just to make sure everything comes together. So it's taking that long. I mean, for some people, I mean, he actually, I mean, it probably didn't take that much time. But for me, because it's just basically the two of us. So I just have to, carry the whole burden on myself over there in Europe. I don't have any support, no financial remuneration from nobody. So I'm the one, doing everything on myself as I'm working. At the same time, I'm carrying that as a second job as well.
Okay, there is this thing about young people in Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, Africa especially, that once you go abroad, in short, government will be paying you. Just go and register in government office and say you can go to the London, like you're in London now. You can go to 10 Downing Street and register your name. Edafi Matthew, I don't have a job, or I don't want to die. I'm feeling depressed. And then they'll just start paying you £1,000 every week. Anytime you're hungry, just carry your plate. Go and meet Mama Charlie. They'll give you food. Is that true?
No, no, it's not true.
How does the system work?
But there is a bit of truth in that, but it's just a bit of time that has changed. Years back, when a lot of people just come to England or anywhere in Europe, they normally tend to come as one or two things. Either you come in legitimately or asylum seekers. So if you come in as asylum seekers, definitely the government we have to provide for you. So they will have to accommodate you. They have to give you allowances.
For how long?
It depends. It normally depends on how long they will process the papers, because they look at the criteria that does this person. And one thing I need to mention here is that they always, because they don't just accommodate people, they accommodate people that they are going to benefit from.
So the key word is benefit. You must come there with something.
Definitely. So if you come in there and you don't have anything really to offer, your paper process might be longer and is 50-50. You might either stay or they might either send you back. So, but if you've got something to offer, let's say you've got a football talent now and you get in there and they look at it that, okay, you know what, this person is quite talented. A club can come in for that person and can now put in the process to make that player a legitimate person a stay. So, but it's not automatic that you get there, they will just throw everything, all the benefits to you. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Thank you for arresting and addressing that side of the conversation. Now, England is the toughest place to sell a player. But the Surulere League or Lagos, let me use Lagos as my axiom here now, made the biggest transfer in the history of Nigeria officially. I mean, if there's anything bigger, people should prove me, correct me if I'm wrong. But the biggest transfer in the history of this country was Victor Osimhen transfer from Lagos to Europe, from Nigeria to Europe. And it was for 3.5 million euros. Even though I hear that the whole money wasn't paid, blah, 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 but that's their own problem. Do you sit where you are and you look at that kind of transfer and ask yourself, why is it not our players? Especially when you look at the club that transferred Victor Osimhen. He doesn't have the kind of pedigree, the kind of power that your team have. Do you sometimes look at the coach and say, Coach, what are you doing? How did this happen? And does that happen to you?
If I look at it that way, then definitely I'll probably not get involved with any Nigerian club, basically. But the issue is when foreign clubs, especially from Europe, they look at the clubs in Nigeria, they tend to look at it in a kind of a way that, you know what, let's just give them any peanuts. Whatever happens, they will accept it because they are really, in the situations where they will collect whatever they want to collect. But the thing is, when I'm talking to my coach, the way we train, the way he trained the players, because of the knowledge he has acquired over time, playing internationally and playing professionally himself, there's a standard that we are looking for, that we know that any players that is going from our side definitely is going there to sign a contract. And like what you said earlier on, England is one of the most difficult countries to get a player from Africa to come and play directly. And that's why I am, as an agent and as the team manager, I don't usually venture into English markets straight away. I deal with the European market straight away, where Italian, Belgium, Spain, Holland, where they will have that preliminary training of getting into the big stage. Because England is just like the final carrots, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a bit difficult to get players there. And apart from that, if you look at the regulations as well, the regulation is so high. For you to get a player into a premiership is
70%, 75%
exactly of you have to be playing
national team,
which they don't have. So there's no market there, basically. So why don't we just deal with the lower European countries where the regulation is a bit on the lower scale?
Okay, to deal with that, recently, one of our congressman or House of Assembly member, National Assembly member, Honorable Loye Akin-Alabi, was talking about, it was on Twitter, I think I'll check for the tweet, was on Twitter and was talking about sponsoring a bill that would make it compulsory for every of our national team to pick 2 home-based players for any international competitions that we're going to, whether it's a Nations Cup, whatever, male or female. From the perspective of a football investor, do you think that is a good move, considering all things, or you think it is something that will bring about quota system?
Well, you have to look at the positive side and the negative side, basically. So in any situation in life, first of all, you look at what are the benefits. Okay, well, the benefit of what they are trying to do is basically to make sure that you always have local players involved, which is not bad at all. It's not a bad idea. But at the same time, if you have, it depends on what position the players that are coming in, they are looking at. It depends on the position where they're going into the team. But if you have players that they are doing well over in abroad or outside, they are more technically gifted or they are better than what you've got, definitely you want to look at that before you even consider your anybody at home, because that's one thing the European countries do, or most advanced countries. They always believe the best of what we got in Africa should be the one that should be representing their clubs within the country.
Well, I mean, come on, that's what you should do too, you know.
Well, football is a general language, so to speak.
Yeah.
And as such, every coach has his strategy. I like to adopt an attacking formation.
Okay, so looking across the European space as example, which team style can you mirror your playing style? Barcelona, Man City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool.
You see, on a personal note, what I do is that I try to watch all these teams and try to pick out something from them. I'm not trying to be particular in playing the way Liverpool plays, playing the way Barcelona plays. I want to be identified with Goshen way of playing football.
Okay, so what's the Goshen way?
It's total attacking football.
Okay, that's nice. So for those of you who are coming for the 2020, do I call it 2020 Surulere League, expect to see attack and attack and attack. It reminds me of Utaka the Attacker. John Utaka the Attacker. Plenty of shout out to Bimba Adiola there, because I think he's the one that coined that one. Before we round this up, what's the financial implication of running a team like Goshen for 1 year? What's the budget? Give me a ballpark figure. It's hard to put together, but for 1 year, how much do you people expand? Like if you say you want to put it from what you spend in pure water, medicals, buying boots, jerseys, transportation going and coming back, buy gala here today, buy alamala tomorrow, take fancy there tomorrow, iodine, deep heat. What's the ballpark figure?
Basically, let me just say is quite difficult. It's very difficult for a team that is doesn't have like a solid kind of sponsor. No, not structure.
Okay.
We have a structure, but we don't have any sponsors basically. So what we just try to do is just that, like, we collate what we need at every tournament or every competition we go into,
And then you spend as you go.
and we spend as we go. That's how it is. But basically, because I'm based over there, and because of the access as well that I've got to a lot of teams over there as well, and knowing manufacturers, sports facilities, materials as well, so I'm able to, gather things, get donations from them, and financially put my own personal imprint on it as well. So to actually help the financial basis of the club as well. So, and that's what we've been doing for the past few years, basically.
Okay, now that you said that, there's something that, in the NBA, they'll say basketball for Africa. They donate kits for some African countries. In Canada, there is the Dollar for Africa, where they collect money, and some African children, especially in South Africa, we don't get to benefit it in Nigeria anyway. But then there is the big man camp by basketball players that will benefit here. Finally, please indulge me on this. You just said that you talked to some people. Is it just very easy for me to go to Europe, like England now, and go to the 20 clubs in the Premier League or the clubs in the 24 clubs or is it 22 clubs in the Championship and say, I have a club, ELEGBETE FC in Nigeria. Please give me your used boots, your used jerseys, your used bib, so that we can use it there. Is it really possible?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible because every club always have the community side. They always community management that deals with what the community needs. Yeah. So, but if you go in there, what they will probably just want to find out is how legitimate your program that you're talking about, your club that you are representing from either anywhere from Africa is, how true is it? So if you have a very good legitimate reason, well, they can actually go into their stockroom and see what actually they can offer. But most likely, if you don't have the basics of being in football, like you've got something to show that these are for, I don't want to use that word less privilege again.
No,
yes, again.
I fight it every time.
So,
footballers are assets. They are products. Footballers are actually products. So you can't call. I mean, I play football. I would be very, very sad if I hear my team manager calling me less privileged. Because
yes.
Truth be told, if I'm not playing football for you, I can go to school. If I don't go to school, I can go learn work.
Exactly.
I'm not handicapped.
Exactly.
I'm not injured.
But that's how you, let's say you are looking at it from the angle from Africa here. But they are not looking at it from
there. I don't care about them.
Yes.
They are less privileged too. I'm coming to Europe to help them. I don't know. So, Chelsea was less privileged until Michael Essien, Didier Drogba, Africans came to help them win Champions League. Arsenal was less privileged until Kano Wanko, Laurent Etememeya, Cameroonian, Kolo Toure came to help them do unbeaten season. I can go on and on.
Exactly. I do understand.
AC Milan was less privileged until George Weah came in and helped them. So I really can't accept the word that a footballer is less privileged. It doesn't matter whether I'm African or I'm in Europe. But time is no longer on our side. Can you beat your chest alongside Coach Abbey and tell me that this season, Goshen Football Club is going to defend their title and win the Surulere League?
Well, since we've done it once before, definitely we can do it second time. This is a bigger stage, and the bigger stage where we're going now, I mean, basically is we're moving to the real professional league, which is a bigger one. So definitely, since we've done it once, we can do it twice.
Have you guys paid your registration?
Yes, we've done it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Abbey
and
team manager Didamala.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you guys here,
nice
and we would try our best to follow up the competition game by game, match by match, and wish you the very best. I mean, I don't have any team that is my favorite. I'm a fan of Box to Boss. I'm a fan of G12. I'm a fan of Dominion Hotspur. Fan of Goshen FC as well, because I'm a fan of grassroots. I'm also a product of grassroots. So I would say, like, may the best team win, and I wish you guys the best. Thank you very much for coming to the studios of ELEGBETE TV and ELEGBETE TV Radio.